very much for joining this session, which actually is just the opening act for the last session in the room by Yankee Fachler about fire in the belly. And I'm going to talk you into some things that would lead to fire in the belly, because I'm going to talk about getting entrepreneur, which is getting successful. I'm Sven Kielgas. I'm a partner with Serviceplan, which is Germany's largest independent agency group. We're about 1,000 people, about 140 million in revenues, and this is a group of over 40 companies, and we're pretty entrepreneurial. And my talk is going to be how to make business in this dreary age. Now, success question mark, it's the mobile, stupid. And that's basically the theme of my presentation. But before diving into this, I should like to address a couple of things. I do feel very much at home here. And the reason being that where I come from, Bavaria, we share a couple of the values with the Irish. First of all, we have quite a strong separatist movement. Secondly, we do take things religious quite seriously. Thirdly, we live in a beautiful environment. And fourth, we know how to produce and consume beer in considerable quantities. But there's also something else I'd like to recommend for next year, because I found this on the hotel table this morning. It says New Year's Eve. After such a conference, I should propose that the next year's party is going to be called Eve's New Year. But going into the subject matter, I will show you some amazing facts and especially amazing figures. From here to there is just about 20 years, about 22 perhaps. But what happened in the meantime was not just the technology in those phones, was not just the form factor, the design, the functionality, all that, was the business as such. This is forgive me if I'm showing you a couple of figures which are really German-based, but I think you can relate to them. We're all one united Europe after all, and it should also be quite the same in this country. We've exceeded our physical population, and that does include newborns, with mobile phones. We have 110 million mobile phones in Germany this year, and our population is only 88. And if you've listened to Kevin Parker earlier on, by 2014, if I'm correct, we will all have seven mobile devices in our hand. Now that is not the first graph of this kind that I'm going to show. The second is, and that's probably not such an impressive figure, every German writes about 414 text messages a year, which altogether come up to 43 billion. And that again includes also those users that don't do any SMSs at all. The data traffic in mobile networks has tripled year over year last year. And that is one of the keys to the new period of growth that we are seeing in the mobile business. And one of the key factors of this to happen is that all of the new phones, about 30% of them, even more than 30% of them, are smartphones. They do provide the technology, the functionality, and also the comfort of using those data-heavy applications. And not only are the smartphones as such growing, the users that have those smartphones are also heavy online users in parallel. It's going to go on. I promise you, I will not have a different direction of the arrow throughout my presentation. The other thing that has actually been very interesting in the recent past was that major brands have actually gone this way. We have more than 200 or almost 200 major brands in Germany that do mobile marketing, which is marketing on mobile phones. Now you could think of this as a niche market, and I'll show you the opposite. It's really a storm in the marketplace, and this is two messages for you. Message number one: if you have a business that is attracting consumers, if you're not going that route, you'll fail. Message number two: if you're in the business of technology and developing those applications, this is the time to start. And this is something that the Chinese will not be able to copy so easily as they did with hardware. If you look at the global development of internet data traffic, and those are figures by Cisco, and that's petabyte per month. This is a number. This is one with how many zeros, Kevin? A petabyte. You'll come up with that. It's like 36 zeros or something like that per month, and we're talking about 14,000 petabyte per month in online traffic, which is an increase by 42%, which is quite steep, but it's nothing compared to the doubling every year from now on until 2014 in mobile data traffic. And if you compare the absolute figure, by 2014 we'll have 30% of our traffic, of our data traffic on mobile devices, which, you know, changes the whole spectrum of marketing as such, because it's the individual device. It's not a device that belongs to the room, it's not a device that belongs to the company, it's a device that belongs to me personally. Now, how do we take advantage of all this? Well, the most direct and straightforward way is using classical media as we know them and make them interactive. So, for instance, look at that. This is Northwest Airlines in Tokyo, which actually lets you check into your flight on the way to the gate. This is an advert in the subway station, and there's a bus station. What you simply do is you photograph the QR code with your mobile phone, an application is launched, you select your seat, and you'll get another QR code on your phone, which you then show to the charming lady at the gate, and she scans it and you're in the plane. You don't need any paper for that at all. Now that's a very straightforward and not so exciting application. The other one is this. This is Times Square in New York, where you have giant QR codes which actually change with the person or with the company who is displaying them. And not only can you directly attract those consumers you are interested in, you can have them interact with the advertising. So they can make, for instance, the color change of the ad. But QR codes do not need to be as ugly as they are. And I'm very happy to see quite a few ladies in the room. You will like that. That's the QR code developed by Louis Vuitton. And this is something you will probably find on the next year's collection of handbags. But even that is not enough. Even that is not enough. This is a Lego block QR code. I'm not joking. This is how it's made. And this is how it works. So you can really imply or filter your brand into the making of the marketing piece and use old technology, analog technology, for interactivating your classical ad. Another example is Lufthansa is actually sponsoring the weather report, the worldwide weather report in print ads. This is a newspaper. This is, real paper. I mean, I know that it's really scary thoughts in this room, but it's really real paper. And what they do is they sponsor the weather report, and then they give you, through the QR code, they give you access to their lounge if you register. Now, these are pretty straightforward extensions to classical printing or display media. The real interesting stuff starts when you use the device as such, as a means of transporting your advertising. And for instance, you could take advantage of the fact that the mobile phone or the smartphone has a vertical and a horizontal way of display. Now, if you look at the mini ad, I'm sorry if you can't see this in the back, but you have the normal mini being displayed in the vertical, and then the Clubman, which is longer, and in the horizontal ad. And when you flip the phone, the ad changes. That really